Hi there. I didn't do videos for a few days, but the last couple of days I've been doing lots of them. And when I'm not doing videos, or when I'm quiet, I'm going through stuff. This path. The spiritual awakening, the unexpected path, and sometimes I'm receiving a lot of new knowledge, and or trying to work out how to explain it, or doing a lot of meditation. Sometimes I'm more concentrated on being still and getting deeper and deeper with that. Because the thing is, as you're healing, as you heal, you become more still. You become more present on your own, with no one there. I mean, it's just me in the room just now. My dog might come in, or a cat, but it's just me, really. It's always just you. But that's it. It's a case of healing yourself, and anyone can start this path. It's just a case of start being heart-based and start healing that way, and as you're healing, you become more still naturally. This is how you control your breathing. A lot of people talk about breathing. This is how you properly develop your breathing properly to the divine self, to be in tune with your higher self, your divine self. And how you do it is you just be heart-based all the time. Heart-based living is a science. There's a place in America, I don't know where about, but it's called the HeartMath Institute. And it's a science, and they basically take people that were depressed and they get them to start going from the heart space, because the heart has an intelligence. The heart is the doorway, you could say, to your divine self. This is what happens when you start having a spiritual awakening. But when I had the awakening, it was instinctive. And what manifested the awakening was what is known as the dark night of the soul. And that is when you're so low, and within you, the divine part, the soul, it manifests. You wake up because you've had enough, and when within you decides to throw the towel in, then you're on your ascension journey now. And that's what happened to me. And that's it. Once you're doing a lot of healing, you're becoming more still. This is how you ascend to abundance, by practicing being still more and more. And don't get caught in the distractions that are trying to pull you. And these distractions are the matrix. If you actually focus on it, you'll actually see that you're being distracted all the time. And this is good because you need to be distracted so that you can be more still again. And this is actually making you more present as you're practicing with that. And as you're becoming more present, you're becoming more happier. You're becoming more here, and because you're becoming more in love with your energy and your space that you're occupying. This is my path. This is what's happened to me. And see, we get told that that we're always making a mistake, but we're actually, you should love yourself just for the sake of loving yourself. You should see yourself as perfect just for the sake of seeing yourself as perfect. When you start seeing yourself this way, you have a much different feeling. You become more present because you're just choosing to love yourself. And you become a magnet then. An energy, because reality is attracted to that kind of energy. Because this kind of energy that I'm talking about, this self-love, this unconditional wholeness within you, this is what heals things and people and space. It heals. So that's how you make change. by just practicing that, by healing, by loving yourself and forgiveness, self-forgiveness. This is the problem for a lot of people. They don't like themselves. I didn't used to like myself, and I used to hate myself. But the darkness actually manifested the awakening. I got darker and darker and darker and darker till one day you just awaken. So no matter which road, all roads lead to the awakening. All roads lead to your ascension. It's actually all meant, you see. It's all meant. It's all perfect. And how is it perfect? Because everything would come from nothing at some stage. And what does nothingness really mean? It's infinite. Nothingness means infinity. And infinity means everything at this moment has been tried and tested an infinite number of times. That means that we're getting the infinitely perfected version of this moment. That means that every combination has been tried and tested. And it's perfect then. This is a lot of, science speaks about this. And that's how it's all perfect. It's actually perfect. And see, this is what I'm saying, that people are programmed to not see things as perfect. We are programmed to not be like that because the system is terrified of it. This is why they try to rush the 5G grid out there. And for anyone that, I don't really watch television. I'll then watch television when it's time to watch my favourite football team, which is Manchester United. But I'm loyal, so I'm going to be loyal to my team, even though I know what's not football, but television is for. It's so that we watch adverts like to promote this 5G it's on the go just now, which is a military weapon. And they're trying to sell it to the people like it's going to help climate change. And if anything, it'll make it all worse. And the people aren't going to buy it. It's like David Icke's sons say that, and it's true that people the system is making their goal obvious now because of desperation. They know that in America, there's actually movements in America of ex-soldiers actually going and talking on microphones, telling soldiers not to be soldiers. If that gets big enough, then there's no military to protect and forces to protect the government, you see. So there's a real awakening happening all over the place, especially in America. And it's happening all over the place. That's why I'm in a little town in Inverurie in Scotland, and I'm meant to have had this awakening. Everyone's going through it in some way or another. How do you get awake? You just become self-aware. That's it. You just have a point where you've had it, and when you decide something, it happens. That's it. When you decide to awaken, it'll just start happening. And that's how simple it is. And you'll just naturally start to be more aware. Most people don't have any self-awareness. Most people see the self. This is what happened to me in my spiritual awakening. And I get new awakens every day. But when it first happened at the age of 24 or 32 now, what starts to happen is your awareness is shifting. Your perceptions are shifting. And you're realizing that the self that you thought was you was actually an illusion. Because the self that we see ourselves as has been molded since birth by everything around us. Our parents, schooling, education system, TV, everything outward is molding our perceptual state. And we call that who we are and our personality. But when you think about it, it's not really you, because it's the outside influences that's made you think it's you. So then once you start to awaken, you start to see this. Then you start to think, what's the true self? So that's why you start to focus on within, and you're accessing this real self, which is, I have found to be just a state of infinite love awareness. Like love with no neediness attached. It's the world that teaches us to be needy and to be like that and hurtful to each other and jealous of each other. Because the system, I believe, is a demonic force that is working behind the scenes, and they say people talk about demons, say that they need destruction and that kind of energy to live, and they die otherwise. So it's not because they are really evil, it's because that they die. That's why they're doing this, but that's coming to an end because of the awakening. And it's really this demonic forces behind the scenes. The real demonic forces are beyond any demonic film you've ever seen. When I think of this 5G and this climate change, what's going on, the game that the system's playing, I mean, that's so evil beyond anything I could imagine. And sometimes it gets to me too much, but then I stop and think, wait a minute, if they're doing that on television, that means they're desperate to lock humanity down, because if you think of it, the system knows that if enough people awaken, it's game over. They're desperate to stop humanity awakening, and they're in panic mode because they've been playing a perceptual mind game on the masses since the beginning of time. The very idea of time and the start, it's an illusion. It was made up by the system. The system is actually really us, but it manifested itself as an illusion of a separate system. Governments and politicians are not the system, right? That's just a matrix illusion. The real system is actually us, but it's our collective energy, awareness that forms it all, and an illusion of like a separate system, and it's manifested itself in a money being at the top, a financial model, and that controls everything else. That's it. But what's happening just now with the awakening is people are healing and awakening, and a new system is developing naturally with the people with the awakened energy, the life force energy. That's what's going on the planet, and some people are feeling the effects. I've heard even stories that older people are getting more, or being randomly sick or ill. It's because of the awakened energy. The planet is shifting, you see, to Gaia, planet Gaia. Gaia is the mother, is the God. God is actually you, but everything acts as a jewel, even though it's one thing. And Gaia is the mother that governs all, that is mother of all life. And that's it. If I ever have a female cat again, I'll call her Gaia. But the real name of which we have is not the label that our parents give us. That's another thing. Our name is the energy, the feelings that we vibrate at. That's our real name. So it's like when someone is attracted to you, it's because your energy is like doing something to them. It's not their face that you're attracted to. It's the energy. It just manifests and forms itself in someone's face. But we are not really people, and the reason, and I can prove it as well, because you can't tell anyone or me or anyone what you don't know what you're going to think next. That's because we don't think our thoughts. We receive our thoughts. We are just actors in the movie, but the thinker is an infinite awareness. That's why there's no death. That's why there's absolutely no death at all. If nothingness is the minimum you can have, or everything comes from nothing, and you can have a life, then that means the nothing would have to be the awareness. And that's what we are, just awareness, infinite awareness. But I'm just going to leave it there. I spoke about many different things, and I just flow. I don't plan what I'm going to speak about. I just want to be as natural as I can, because people can sense, when you're trying too hard or not. So I try to just flow and just be. And if you're watching, as I always say this at the end, you're meant to watch it, because everything falls in divine order and divine timing. You're perfect just as you are. Thank you for watching. Thank you.